The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 201. So hop aboard, let's have some fun. I am Ray Russell, and this week we continue on our journey to June 1989 in the World Wrestling Federation, looking at another week of TV, covering the weekend of June the 10th this time out. Last we saw the arrival of the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes got a couple new vignettes again this week on the American Dream, headed his way to the WWF Squared Circle before too long. That's right, 2 new vignettes featuring Dusty Rhodes. Plus, I've heard the cries out there, the return this week of the Event Center with Sean Mooney. Going to play a couple sound bites here with Sean Edmund Mooney in the Event Center. Going to hear from a few of the talent here in the World Wrestling Federation on their ongoing feuds or lack thereof. We'll have to wait and see who pops up here on this episode of The Grenade. But in order to get going, we got to get it on. Let's do that right now. Heading back in time to the WWF Superstars of Wrestling, June the 10th, 1989. Here we go. It's Superstars, June the 10th, 1989. Tape back May the 17th, Duluth, Minnesota, Entertainment Convention Center. Too bad not the Sports Entertainment Convention Center. Going to have to let Vince lobby for that. But right now we go off. Speaking of Vince, the announced team this week, as always, it is one Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Jesse the Body Ventura. As we head to ringside, singles action. Going to see the Macho Man, Randy Savage, with new manager, Sherry, by his side, taking on White Lightning, Tim Horner, as we get an insert promo here from Scary Sherry. That's Sensational Sherry, says the Body, calling out Vince McMahon for referring to Sherry as scary because Vince is always correcting Jesse whenever he calls Tito Chico. Fair point. Well, in the insert promo, Sherry proclaiming that Randy Savage is still, in her eyes, the undisputed WWF champion and will be once again. Hulk Hogan, only a champion in his movie. She must have missed that part of WrestleMania where the Hulkster pins the Macho Man, but rematches are abound here on the house show circuit, so head out to an arena near you if you were lucky enough to get this one. We were here at the Richfield Coliseum. Jesse Ventura also referring to Sherry here on commentary as a newfound inspiration for the Macho Man instead of that slug Elizabeth. Ooh. It's fighting words there, Body. Tim Horner gets the better of a cocky Randy Savage early on, and a snapmare takes the Macho Man down. And we see the madness coming from the Macho Man here. Savage leaving the ring, little frustration, ripping up a no-holds-barred poster, being held up by a ringside fan. No doubt those posters given away, as were these god-awful t-shirts. Back inside, though, Savage going to gain control. Is Sherry even going to take over, sneaking in a choke on Horner with her purse strap. Even still, Tim comes fighting back again. Surprise backslide. Going to get a 2 count on the Macho Man, but Horner going to miss a drop kick as Savage regroups, tossing Horner over the top rope out to the floor, where the sensational one, Sherry, sending Tim face first into the steel post. Now that's aggression from the manager there. From there, though, Randy Savage going to dive off the top to the floor, double axe handle, crashing down on Tim Horner. Then it's back in the ring for the diving elbow drop off the top. Going to give the Macho Man the win, 3 minutes and 9 seconds. Now, we don't get a ton of these Macho Man squashes during this era, but you have to enjoy them when you can, especially with Sherry clearly being established as a serious threat on the floor, doing more damage maybe than even the male managers. Randy Savage, preserved for the house shows, currently working Hulk Hogan, sometimes Brutus Beefcake, depending on the arena. So we will see the Macho Man working a little less here on TV, at least in the squash zone, if you will. So love him when you get him. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, another big win here, this time over Tim Horner, as we roll off to Update and Mean Gene Okerlund. We get a replay of last week's incident between the Honky Tonk Man and the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. Honky insulted that his singing performance was interrupted by Mean Gene up on the platform interviewing the Superfly. We then see the video clip, Honky Tonk Man verbally assaulting Snuka, hitting him with everything from Jimmy living in the trees to being a coconut picker to not even being able to afford shoes. The Superfly's barefoot. Yes, that's right, guys. Honky just stopped short of accusing Snuka of... Never mind. Of course, from there, Jimmy Snuka removes his headband, his robe, dives off the stage onto Honky, adding insult to injury there. And this week we hear from an upset Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart. Honky saying, when I sing, everybody listens, except for that wild-eyed, stringy-haired Jimmy Snuka. Honky vowing revenge on the Superfly at a house show near you. As we come back from break, we see Luke and Butch the Bushwhackers are coming out of No Holds Barred, the movie, calling it a bloody beaut, mate. So much so that they're going to go right back in and watch it again. Man, glad I wasn't in that movie theater, mate. As we continue on, it's Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers, taking on Chris Curtis and Jake the Milkman Milliman. We get an insert promo here from the fabulous Rougeaus in their brand new capes, along with Jimmy Hart by their side, having a laugh at the Rockers' expense. The Rougeaus stating they taught them a lesson. It doesn't pay to be copycats. And noticeably, maybe the Rockers did learn their lesson, because already right back to their original instrumental theme here. We'll have to wait a few years for Shawn to sing for us again. As we get going with the action, Milliman has his struggles early on with the Rockers. Then Curtis suffers more of the same, trying to keep up with the fast tags, the double teams, because the Rockers are, in fact, tag team specialists. Woo! Well, it's Shawn Michaels with a super kick on Chris Curtis and then setting up stereo flying fist drops. Double flying fist drop off the top. The Rockers get the win on Curtis. Match goes 2 minutes, 53 seconds, and Jesse Ventura very upset that Danny Davis, the official here, of all people, Danny Davis, making the 3 count while both Rockers were still in the ring. Very good point there, Jess. The other Rocker, Marty Jannetty, should have been back on the apron when Shawn made the cover, but Danny, I guess, trying to prove himself here. He's a fan-friendly referee, at the very least, at this point in time. As we continue on, singles action now with Bad News Brown taking on Jim Evans, and Evans unwisely turning his back. And Brown going to jump him before the bell. One of these guys going to learn. Brown with that stiff left arm clothesline setting up for the Ghetto Blaster. And the 1-foot pin puts an end to Evans in just 1 minute, 18 seconds. Quick win here this week for the Bad News Man. But post-match, we see Tony Schiavone arriving ringside, going to interview Bad News Brown right out there as Tony talks about Brown being known as a man who stands alone. Bad News going to double down on that. Stands behind that statement. Brown stating that he doesn't need any managers taking his money, trying to run his life. He also doesn't need a tag team partner, which kind of contradicts recent primetime wrestling, but whatever. Bad News stating he fights his own battles just like he did growing up in the streets of Harlem. He does it here in the WWF. Brown even referencing what he just did to that spineless cockroach, Jim Evans. He says that was a message to the WWF champ, Hulk Hogan. Bad News stating Hogan has no business being the WWF champion, and he's still hunting for the WWF title. Bad News Brown hasn't forgotten about Hulk Hogan or that championship belt. As we continue on, the mighty Hercules getting ready for battle against Al Burke. Referee here is Ron Garvin for this one. We also get an insert poem from the Genius, who basically says Dino Bravo is the world's strongest man, while that stupid idiot Hercules is merely insecure. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, we'll be waiting a while before Hercules versus Dino Bravo, also at a house show near you. In the ring here, though, it is Herc versus Al Burke. Hercules overpowering Burke early on with ease, by the way, tossing him around the ring. Nice vertical suplex sets up the torture rack backbreaker. Quick submission win here this week for the Mighty One. Hercules goes over in just 2 minutes, 20 seconds. His house show feud with Dino Bravo rages on. As does another feud involving the Ultimate Warrior and the man standing in the ring right here. It is Intercontinental Champion Ravishing Rick Rude with Bobby Heenan by his side. Rude's opponent this week, Frankie DeFalco, is the Ravishing One going to talk to the fat, out-of-shape Minnesota meatheads, asks him to keep the noise down as he shows off his body for the women in the crowd, and also subsequently showing off his Intercontinental title belt around his waist. Hit his music. Rick Rude going to showcase himself. As the action gets going, though, we get an insert picture on the screen of the new edition of the WWF magazine, all about Rude beating the Warrior for the title at WrestleMania 5, an article right in there. And no doubt the Warrior upset if he can read. Ravishing One here with a hammerlock and a hip swivel in a go behind. Very awkward positioning, standing directly behind Falco's rear end. Doing a hip swivel here is Rick Rude. Might make a great gif. Frankie, though, going to lay in a few shots, separating the two, but Rude going to cut him right off. Dominates the match. Nice snap suplex from the Ravishing One, but it is the Rude Awakening neckbreaker, putting DeFalco away just 1 minute and 45 seconds. And speaking of Rude Awakenings, no, not neckbreakers, but it's been a first time in a bit, feels like anyway, Rick Rude giving a blonde woman in a Simply Ravishing shirt from the crowd somewhere, giving her a Rude Awakening kiss. So Rick Rude still kissing the ladies out there. You know, when I was a kid, there was a rumor. I don't know how much of a rumor it truly was because it will go away eventually, at least by 1990 at some point. But, you know, AIDS was the big virus going around at the time, obviously. And sad to say, in the late 80s, it was typically known as a death sentence. And so a lot of rumors that I would hear going around was, well, Rude stopped kissing the ladies because of AIDS. And I don't know that that's actually the reason. I don't really know what the story was with all of that. It will come to an end eventually here, we know. But right now, still selecting certain ladies to partake in the Rude Awakening smooch of doom, if you will. And, well, you guys had to know it was coming. It's that time again this week. It's time for this week's clip from No Holds Barred. You know, as I think back, if you put all these clips together that they show here on WWF programming, you might could watch the movie for free. This week we get a romantic scene, pal, in which Hulk Hogan and the chick in the movie, they're horizontal on a couch before Zeus comes on Hogan's TV screen. And the kissy face is all over, brother. It's all business. The Hulkster, not a fan of Zeus. And as we've learned in recent weeks here on TV, Zeus, not a fan of the Hulkster in quote-unquote real life. So we'll see what continues to unfold between those two here in the summer of '89. But right now, we go off to this week's edition of the Brother Love Show with guest Big John Studd. Brother says Studd has a giant problem staring him in the face. Studd talks about flooring Andre twice last week in the big brawl between Duggan and Haku, Andre and Studd. We even get a clip of Studd again laying Andre out. Brother Love claims Andre was manhandled last week, but only because he had a 105-degree fever and he just wasn't feeling well. That's the only way John Studd could get the upper hand on the eighth wonder of the world. Here, Studd says that Andre was sick, all right, sick with fear of Big John, who says he plans to chop Andre down like the giant oak tree that he is. And that will leave only one giant oak in the forest, Big John Studd, who still professes, even as a babyface, to be the only true giant of the WWF. And the irony here is, as he plans to chop Andre down, it's John Studd, who has already quit the company. By the time this makes air, the last set of TV tapings, June the 6th, John Studd walks in and quits. And we've talked about it in the past. And there's various stories out there, everything from Andre bullying him in the ring every night and Studd having enough of the beatings and etc. But also paydays were brought up. He wasn't pleased with his 4-figure, which today would be, you've got at least triple that, to be the referee, at WrestleMania 5. All he had to do was just stand there for 10 minutes and earn that paycheck. And Studd thought, apparently, that he was worth more. Know your value, I suppose. John Studd never again in the World Wrestling Federation or anywhere of any real merit, for that matter. We continue on, though. Got another singles matchup out here. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, one half of the Hart Foundation, sometimes, battling Barry Horowitz. A little pat on the back there as we get an insert promo from Mr. Fuji and the Barbarian. Of course, Barb working the Anvil right now on mini house shows. Fuji wanting Barb to cripple the Anvil, retire him. Maybe Fuji's still mad about Neidhart leaving Fuji for Jimmy Hart back in, 1984? Early 85? This may be the first instance of Fuji also being referred to as Master Fuji by the Barbarian here in this promo, even Vince McMahon pointing it out. Did he just call him Master? Well, we get some cackling in the ring here from Neidhart as he mauls poor Barry Horowitz. Quick power slam, putting an end to Barry's night. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Even the announcers admitting that Barry usually fares a little better, but apparently not when he's in the ring with the 300-pound anvil, Jim Neidhart. And, well, we talked about No Holds Barred, but this vignette a little more fun for me as we go off right now. It's vignette number 3 of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes at the Americana Butcher Shop.
That's going to be a nice piece. Yeah. All right. Welcome to Americana Butcher Shop. We don't sell no soda pop, but if you're looking for good beef, this is the place to stop. Ernest, come on over here. We're going to take you in the treasure chest of beef right here and show you what it's all about here at Americana. Come on in here now, Ernest. Oh, man, and look at that nice piece of veal hanging up there. Ernest, tell him folk about this veal right here.
Nice leg of veal.
Leg of veal. And what is this two-legged creature right here? We know what that is.
Nice leg of lamb.
Leg of lamb. I love leg of lamb. What we got right here, them old rump roasts and everything.
That's a nice rump roast.
Ooh, and we know what this is right here.
The bologna.
This is bologna, and we are full of it today. Yeah, come on over here. We're going to make some Americana right here, ground up beef. Look here, stick it right in there. Get that thing working down in there. Now look down on the other end here, and you will see some of the finest Americana ground beef in the country right there. Woo-wee! That looks so good. Let me tell you something now. I'm going to tell you one time, you cannot beat my prices. But you sure can't beat my music.
Hey, aren't you?
Well, obviously, the audio doesn't do these vignettes justice. You can go check it out. I've already posted them on my social media. Vignettes 3 and 4 now on Facebook and Twitter, guys. X, sorry. Dusty, standing here in the butcher shop in nothing but jeans and a butcher apron, schmuck, whatever you want to call it, over his bare chest. Of course, the apron covered in blood, by the way. But I guess Dusty would be used to that, being covered in blood. He worked for Crockett for many a year, and Eddie Graham before that. The Dream, though, going to take us into his treasure chest of meat, a.k.a. the freezer. We're introduced to veal, a leg of lamb, rump roast, even bologna. And we are full of it today, says the Dream. Bologna, that is. We're also introduced to Ernest the Butcher, not to be confused with Abdullah the Butcher. Although that would have been awesome. A great cameo here. Perfect opportunity to squeeze Abby in for a 1-weeker. Dusty then going to make some ground beef for us. Americana ground beef, that is. Leaving us with that little ditty. You cannot beat my prices, but you sure can't beat my meat. As he flashes that $1 million smile. Hey, aren't you the American Dream coming to the World Wrestling Federation? And now the announcers beginning to pick up on it, mentioning the Dream here this week. But it's back to reality for the time being. More fans being interviewed, putting over No Holds Barred. A female fan can't believe how sensitive Hulk Hogan was in the movie, crying at one point in the movie. Aw. So yet another fan or two there, putting over No Holds Barred as we go back to the ring. One more match this week on Superstars featuring the Big Boss Man and Akeem, the Twin Towers, with the manager Doctor of Style Slick by their side, taking on Scott Colton and Kevin Michelson. We get an insert promo here from Axe and Smash, the tag team champions, Demolition, who don't seem to fear the Towers as challengers. In fact, they welcome the matchup. Demolition backing down from no team, including this half a ton. Speaking of, Michelson in the ring first with the towers gets the beatdown, but Colton, he's not left out. Tagging in is Scott Colton. Akeem with a little dancing rhythm, and Boss Man just pure punishment here as he lands the spine buster, sets up Akeem for Air Africa. The big splash, 747, putting Colton down and out. Match goes only 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Now this is interesting here. Post-match, more of a beatdown begins on Michelson, but we actually cut away before the cuffing can take place. We see the handcuffs come out, but they cut away. And I'm not sure if that was for time restraints or if we're cutting back on the brutality here on family programming. We'll have to keep an eye on that. As this week's episode of Superstar is going to close out, Mean Gene speaking with the lovely Miss Elizabeth. Looks like she just came out of No Holds Barred herself, telling us once again to go out and see the movie. It's the most exciting movie she's seen in a long time. Or any movie for that matter, since she met the Macho Man. Rumors, guys. Elizabeth encouraging us to hurry right now and see the movie before they yank it out of theaters for not doing so well. As we learn next week here on Superstars, the fabulous Rougeau brothers going to be in the ring along with their brand new capes. Also, Bret the Hitman Hart in singles competition. We saw the Anvil this week, the Hitman here next. Rick Martel going to be here, no doubt, with manager Slick by his side, along with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase in the ring, Luke and Butch the Bushwhackers, Mr. Perfect, and the former Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, all going to be here. Plus, the Brother Love Show with guest Superfly, Jimmy Snuka continuing to promote those mid-card house show feuds right now, as we're just kind of coasting, as is the usual summer format for the WWF. We've got our quote-unquote feuds in place, and so off to the house show events the fans will go. As we continue on, guys, we're going to have an episode of Wrestling Challenge. Also going to talk a little prime time again this week, but before all of that, we're going to take this quick WrestleCopia timeout.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at uswapodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia, and I want to update you on everything going on with the brand right now. First and simple, if you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, Professor Dan Ginnity and the Pro Wrestling Academy, and all the other great podcasts from Gene Jackson, Bob Smith, Dave Dynasty, and the boys from the Other Ship. And of course, all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. Please also follow us at the former Twitter, now X, at Wrestling Grenade, and subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. Would also greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review at your favorite podcast apps, guys, because every positive review makes our podcasts more visible in the algorithms, if you will, which allows us to continue to grow. Now, for those who have been asking about merchandise, WrestleCopia merch, you can find plenty of designs for our t-shirts, hats, magnets, stickers, coffee mugs, and more over at the TeePublic store. That is tpublic.com/user/WrestleCopia. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Now with 3 major tiers and tons of Patreon exclusive next level content for our supporters. Remember guys, no subscription, cancel any time, but I think you'll like the content that we're offering there for any budget you may have. And you can sign up right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, episode 201. We continue on here this week with the WWF Wrestling Challenge, June the 11th, 1989.
Because it's coming. We've got a blockbuster.
All right, it is Challenge for June the 11th, tape back May 16th, La Crosse Center, La Crosse, Wisconsin, home of the Catbirds of the Continental Basketball Association. Catbirds? Is that like Cat Dog? It's a cartoon in the 90s. Catbirds. Okay. Well, we got Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary here as we roll off to the ring to see the tag team champions Axe and Smash Demolition battling Fuller Stevens and Todd Becker. And right out of the gate, it is demolished and destroyed by the tag team champions. Total mauling on Stevens. Then Becker's turn. Smash with a stiff clothesline, setting up for the demolition decapitation, putting Becker down 2 minutes and 14 seconds. As super over our demolition with the fans here this week. Really a shame they haven't done much at all on TV for the demolition Twin Towers matches on the house shows, because I don't know that you could find more believable competition challengers, potential title change opponents, if you will. But Bobby Heenan using this matchup on commentary to hint at the Brainbusters coming for another title shot against the Demos after the schmoz on the last edition of Saturday Night's Main Event. We'll have to wait and see if anybody can take the belts off of Axe and Smash as we go off right now to Special Report with Lord Alfred Hayes back in the control room. We get clips of Big John Studd against Saving Hacksaw Duggan from the double team of Haku and Andre last week. Studd, of course, clearing the ring of Andre the Giant, knocking him down not once, but twice. Unfortunately, this is likely where it ends. Like I said, John Studd has quit the company. I don't know if we have any more footage of Big John moving forward. As this week's clip from No Holds Barred, nope, we're not at the movie clip yet. Instead, another fan, apparently an Australian female fan, loved the movie. So I guess go see it. Even fans from Down Under putting it over. I wonder if she watched the movie with the New Zealand bushwhackers. Who's to say? We go back to the ring, though. Singles competition this time out. Greg the Hammer Valentine with manager Jimmy Hart battling Warren Bianchi. The Hammer taking a little too long to get warmed up this week, and Bianchi able to land a couple of arm drags of his own. Valentine none too pleased with that, just chops and elbows his way back in control. Greg then going to soften up the leg before applying that shin guard assisted figure 4 leg lock. Going to get the Hammer the submission win, just 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And as Valentine leaves ringside, he's stopped by Tony Schiavone to interview the Hammer here, who is upset that the WWF president Jack Tunney made Ronnie Garvin a referee when he lost that retirement match. He should have had to leave the business, but instead Ronnie Garvin now an official here in the World Wrestling Federation, and the Hammer none too pleased. Be careful, Greg. Be happy that President Tunney hasn't put Garvin in a referee position in any of your matches. Yet, anyway. As we roll off now, as promised, we bring him back this week. It's Sean Mooney in the Event Center. We're going to hear from the likes of the current IC champion Rick Rude and the mighty one, Hercules.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean Mooney. To reach the top here in the World Wrestling Federation is to wear a WWF championship belt around your waist. Well, ravishing Rick Rude has reached that point. He is the new Intercontinental Champion, even though many believe he captured that title under questionable means. Right now, standing by is the new Intercontinental Champion and his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
You know, when you think about the list of the greatest Intercontinental Champions, you have to include the likes of a Pat Patterson, the likes of Jake the Snake Roberts. You're going to have to include the Honky Tonk Man, who referred to himself, and I even said, the greatest Intercontinental Champion ever. But now, you look at this man, ravishing Rick Rude. Nah, you're all going to have to take a back seat. Exactly, Bobby. A champion is judged by the challengers he beats. And the Ultimate Warrior had never been beaten until he stepped in the ring with the sexiest man alive. Ravishing Rick Rude is truly the ultimate Intercontinental Champion. And I'm going to stay that way for an awful long time. Long time.
Well, Bobby Heenan and ravishing Rick Rude taking liberty to put the new Intercontinental Champion among some very elite company. Ravishing Rick Rude had better keep a tight grip on that belt. There are a lot of superstars who would like nothing better than taking the title away from him. And that includes the mighty Hercules.
You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't talk about, that I don't think about, that I don't live about professional wrestling. Because I love being the greatest athlete in one of the greatest sports in all the world, bar none. I've broken the chains that bind me. My integrity's still intact. Ask people like Dino Bravo. Ask people like King Haku. Ask people like Ted DiBiase. My integrity is still intact. It will remain intact. I am committed. I am dedicated to excellence. Every day when I get up in the morning, I go to that gym. I say my prayers. I eat my vitamins, just like the big man says. And you know, it works. And it's going to keep on working. And anybody that don't think so, you got to talk to me about it.
Well, certainly no one here in the World Wrestling Federation could question the integrity of the mighty Hercules. And that includes the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, the former King Haku, and also Dino Bravo. We've got more action coming up right after this.
Well, the ravishing one still mocking the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, you are champion, Rude. Just let it go. Don't entice the Warrior any more than you already have. Meanwhile, the mighty one, he's taken down Haku, he's met with the $1 Million Man, and now he has Dino Bravo in his sights. Hercules needing to prove that he is the world's strongest man. We'll see who comes out the winner in that one. As we go back to ringside singles action, going to see Tito Santana battle Dusty Wolf. And Wolf, well, he won't be Dusty for long, if you will. In the ring, though, referee is Ronnie Garvin. We also get an insert promo here from Tito's former partner, Rick Martel, who says, "Since Santana turned on me, I'm off to success with Slick in my corner." Yes. You know, so Rick Martel, you got to love the line here. Tito turned on Martel, and that he did. I mean, he hit the guy with a flying forearm. Martel warning Tito, "Don't stand in my way." As the action gets going, we get a nice drop kick from Santana early on, but it's off to the long armbar segment that we're accustomed to in these Tito matches. Got to have one every time out, eh, Teat? Did I just call him a teat? Anyway, Bobby Heenan going to leave commentary for the next matchup, going to be managing the Brainbusters, so stay tuned for that. But Gorilla Monsoon going to use the remainder of this match and this armbar segment of the match to discuss, you guessed it, No Holds Barred, and how everyone is returning to see the movie again because they missed a lot the first time. They got so wrapped up in the action, they missed the story plot. You can't miss what isn't there, Gorilla. But A for effort. In the ring, Tito with a backdrop on Wolf, setting up the flying forearm to get the victory. 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Tito Santana coming out a winner. Arriba! Well, in 1989, when your instant replay is your finisher and a fireman's carry into an armbar, you might just be outdated. Tito Santana. What can you say? As the fans out here touting the hottest new movie that nobody seems to be watching. Action-packed, go out and see it today. Go see No Holds Barred back to the ring as promised tag team action with Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters. managed, of course, by Bobby the Brain Heenan. And they'll be battling, to quote the Gorilla, two guys that spend a lot of time in the gym. Talking about Paul Roma and Jeff Bronski, a.k.a. Brick Bronski. And much like Jimmy Powers recently on TV, Paul Roma still coming out to Crank It Up being played. So they both have the same theme music, but are apparently no longer a team, finding new guys to job alongside. The whole thing seems very counterproductive. We'll see how they fare here, though. Paul Roma and the very well put together Jeff Bronski. We get an insert promo from Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, who say they're going to beat the Busters and choke the Weasel. I don't know what that means in New Zealand. I can guess what that means in some of the fans' minds. Anyway, Paul Roma tries his best to fend off both Busters early on. Beautiful no-hand leap to the middle rope, landing a reverse body block on Arn Anderson does Roma, and drop kicks for both Arn and Tully. Paul in control until Roma going to try a monkey flip out of the corner on Arn Anderson, but Tully wisely holding on to Arn's trunks to keep him in place. And Paul goes flying backwards, crashing hard down on the mat. Great heel double team work on Paul Roma will ensue from there. Though Roma on the apron comes in with a slingshot sunset flip on Tully. Doesn't realize Arn, though, was the legal man tagging in blind tag there. And the Busters continue the dominance in this matchup. Finally, Roma able to tag out to Bronski, who comes in a house of fire. Power slam by Bronski on Anderson. Tully trying a reverse body block. Caught, sort of, by Bronski into a power slam. They botch it, but I do like what they were trying here with this youngster. Now I sound like Gorilla. But unfortunately, it's going to lead to a quick cutoff assisted gourd buster and the spike pile driver, of course, behind the referee's back, putting Bronski out 2 minutes and 47 seconds. The Brainbusters go over yet again. We've told the story of Jeff Bronski in the past. Certainly had the look. He did a recent TV taping prior to this and even did a string of house show matches. And he was very well protected, I thought. But Bronski later would tell the story that he simply wasn't a fan of, I believe it was this particular TV taping that turned him off. They offered him a contract and he refused to sign. At least that's Bronski's version of the story based on how some of the talent behaved and treated him at these set of TV tapings. He certainly had the look. I think they might have tried to do something with the up-and-comer Brick Bronski. As we go off once again right now to the event center, Sean Mooney standing by as we hear from Jim the Anvil Neidhart, always fun, and the fabulous Rougeau brothers rocking their brand new capes.
To earn a reputation as one of the toughest individuals here in the World Wrestling Federation in both singles competition and tag team competition is quite an accomplishment. Well, there is such a superstar. He is the Anvil, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He's standing by with comments, and he's hungry for competition.
You know, some people think I'm a little strange. You know, other wrestlers think I'm a little strange. In fact, a lot of wrestlers don't even want to wrestle the Anvil. Why, I don't know. Is it because when I pick a guy up for a body slam and I slam him to the floor, maybe it's too much for them? Or when the Anvil climbs the top rope and pow! comes down upon people, maybe they don't like that. Maybe that hurts. I love hurting other wrestlers, especially real big wrestlers. And the real big challenges, because I like a challenge.
One may wonder about Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but one thing no one questions, and that is his desire to win. Elsewhere in the World Wrestling Federation, there's a tag team known for their questionable tactics in the ring. I'm talking about the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond. They are joined by Jimmy Hart.
You guys are fabulous! Just fabulous! Definitely the best-dressed tag team in the World Wrestling Federation, baby!
Well, thank you very much, Jimmy. I mean, what else could be expected of the fabulous Rougeau brothers and Jimmy Hart? Now, let me tell you one thing, Rockers. Aren't you a little envious? I mean, we can still sing, but you can't. We have beautiful capes, and you've got torn-up T-shirts.
Ain't that great? You walk into a beautiful arena with 20,000 people, and there comes those wrestlers. I mean rockers upside down, wrestlers. There they come out of the dress room like ballet dancers. Let me tell you something. You want to see class, you want to see style, you want to see something sensational, you want to see something fabulous. Just take a look at us right now.
Well, the fabulous Rougeaus brothers sporting new capes, and it is obvious they go to the same tailor as Jimmy Hart. The fabulous Rougeaus brothers, it is clear they'll do whatever it takes to win. The action continues right after this. Don't go away.
Well, the Anvil, like I said, always a fun time hearing from Jim Neidhart, and the Rougeaus stating the Rockers are simply jealous of them, their singing ability, and of course their brand new capes. Gotta love those. As we head back to the ring for Brutus the Barber Beefcake in singles competition this week, taking on Tom Stock, we get an insert poem from The Genius, who basically says Sherry is number one, Elizabeth second rate. And the Barber, Brutus Beefcake, he's a buddy of Hulk Hogan who stole the Macho Man's title, so he got what he deserved when he got that haircut. Genius basically stating the Barber deserved said haircut and could afford to lose a little weight. Okay, not really sure what that implied. In the ring, though, Stock going to land a few shots, but Brutus taking over pretty quickly here. And into the sleeper hold goes the Barber on Tom Stock. Joey Morella only going to check the arm twice before calling for the bell. Match going to go 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Now, post-match, of course, what's a Barber match without a little preparation for the summer months? A nice short haircut for Mr. Tom Stock, as the Barber still feuding with the Macho Man and Scary Sherry, which ties in with Hulk Hogan, of course. Big summer ahead for the admittedly very over with the crowd right now, Brutus Beefcake. Stay tuned. As we go on right now to a special interview segment up on the platform, we saw Mean Gene up there last week with Superfly Snuka. This week, Mean Gene going to be speaking with the other half of this brand new feud, talking about the Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart. Honky, who now refers to himself simply as the greatest of all time, got to get the IC title belt out of that lingo. Honky says he knows the fans would much more prefer to hear him sing and dance than watch that tree-climbing Jimmy Snuka picking coconuts. Honky Tonk promising to take care of the fly with a single swat of his guitar. Maybe another tune coming our way. Well, it is breaking all kinds of box office records, probably not for the positive, but it is this week's clip of No Holds Barred shown here again. We saw it on Superstars, the quote-unquote romantic clip aired again here on Wrestling Challenge Hulk Hogan. Go see the movie or some shit. As it's back to the ring for Mr. Perfect taking on Lance Allen, we get an insert promo from Mr. P, calling out those average people out there who dream of being perfect. But as we know, there was only one Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig. As we hear a nasty, nasty, loud, I don't know if I've heard a chop louder than this one on poor Lance Allen. Hennig going to follow up with a rolling neck snap. Though Lance going to surprise the overly cocky Curt Hennig, Lance landing a hip toss and a big body slam, but running into a perfect double foot in the corner. And now you're going to see a perfect plex, putting Lance Allen down 2 minutes, 15 seconds. The perfect streak will continue here for Curt Hennig. As we continue on, it's vignette number 4 now, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, and nothing more American than the Americano Taco Shop.
Ooh, taco, my specialty of the house. My tacos are ready and prime. Hey, what's happening, brother? Welcome to American Taco Shop. We got tacos, we got enchiladas, we got pina coladas, we got the best food on the block. What can I do for you?
I'll try an enchilada.
Woo! What was that?
Demo and enchilada.
Demo, Hawaiian enchilada. I got it for you quick as a flash. Woo! 1 enchilada coming up. Tear into that. If that ain't good, that is good. Ooh, matter of fact, I got something else for you while you're eating that. I got the famous American Taco Shop taco right there. And it's about that time. It's okay if I eat with you? I got something for myself. Ooh, look at this burrito. Woo. Here at the Americana Taco Shop, you eat one of these burritos and it'll make you hop, hop, hop.
Say, man, aren't you?
Well, we are at the Americano Taco Shop, and don't think I don't recognize the irony of an American taco shop, guys, where tacos are the specialty of the house. Enter a maybe Mexican customer Eddie Guerrero-style mullet. I've even had several fans ask me as I posted these vignettes on the social media, is that one of the Guerreros? Is that Eddie? Is that Hector? No, it's not, guys. But the stereotype is certainly there. Oh, did I mention we have Dusty Rhodes working behind the counter in a shirt that reads tacos and a sombrero? Because Dusty, I gotta admit, the visual is fun. The Dream says they got everything from enchiladas to pina coladas. And the patron here, he'd like an enchilada, which disturbingly is already sitting on a counter next to Rhodes on a plate ready to be served. Egads. Nevertheless, the Dream does a little spinneroonie, little spin move there by Dusty as he delivers the enchilada, even throws in some tacos and a burrito on the side. Rhodes even going to join in sharing the meal with this man as he lays out the quote, Dusty's Americano Taco Shop. Eat one of his burritos and it'll make you hop, hop, hop. Oye, ¿no eres tú? Hey, aren't you? Is it bad that I'm fearing for this man's stomach and these pre-made plates of food sitting just off camera? This guy's not disturbed in the least, though, just eating away here. Maybe free of charge, and rightfully so. Can you sue somebody if they give you the food for free? I don't know. As we continue on, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase in the ring with bodyguard Virgil battling JT Thomas, the well-put-together Thomas here. Virgil taunting Thomas with money as DiBiase lands a sucker shot from the side soon after tossing JT to the floor, where it's a big body slam on the mat outside, then back in the ring for a clothesline. Sets up the $1 Million Dream. Fairly quick win here for Ted DiBiase. Pulling no punches this week, going to score the win in just 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and a $100 bill stuffed down the throat of JT Thomas. To me, anyway, it feels like forever since we've seen the $1 Million Man on screen, but in reality, as I look back, it hasn't been all that long. But with Jake the Snake Roberts now out until the fall, even though they did mention him here on commentary, the WWF is left with nothing for DiBiase to do in the short term, at least over the summer, which is unfortunate after his run in 1987, 1988. Think about everything, the dastardly deeds, the big fights with Hogan and the Macho Man. You'd think they'd get a guy with DiBiase's stature something to do. They could shift some things around like they're going to have to do for Andre here, although then I look at Andre's new opponent after Stud, and maybe DiBiase's best left with these random throwaway matches as we roll off one final time this week to the Event Center and Sean Mooney standing by. We're going to hear from Bad News Brown and maybe my favorite promo from Brown up to date, as well as the King Hacksaw, Jim Duggan.
Just who are the most intimidating wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation? Well, certainly you'd have to consider Jake the Snake Roberts. Also Andre the Giant, Big John Studd. What about the Barbarian and the Warlord? Well, there's a man who is particularly intimidating from the streets of Harlem. He is Bad News Brown.
Let me tell you, beer belly sharecroppers, one thing. What is this world coming to? That's right. What is it coming to? It's a ball of confusion. You have women that want to be men, men that want to be women, and now we have the world champ of the WWF. He wants to be a movie star. He doesn't want real life. He doesn't want to sacrifice his body anymore. He wants to go out there to Hollywood and have some stunt man step in there for him and have those fights fixed the way they do out there. He doesn't want to be in the real ring, in the real world, because he's afraid. That's right, he's afraid, and he's a total disgrace, and he should not be the representative of the WWF or of the world.
He takes no prisoners, and his defeated opponents long remember Bad News Brown and his Ghetto Blaster. There's a new king in the World Wrestling Federation. He is standing by right now with royal comments. Let's hear from King Duggan.
Ho! Hey, folks, it's King Hacksaw Duggan, the Lionhearted. Roar! And it sure hasn't been an easy road for old Hacksaw since I've been in the WWF. But long as I keep my trusty 2x4 by my side and old Gloria raised above my head, I pretty much do what I want. And I told you folks that I was going to take this cape and this crown away from Haku, and that's exactly what I did. Now every time I'm in the ring, I've got to keep one eye on my opponent and one eye on the door, because you never know when the Weasel will try to sneak on down, when Haku will try to sneak on down, when Andre will try to stomp on down. But folks, me and the board and the flag will triumph. Oh!
The new king of the World Wrestling Federation, King Duggan, becoming quite accustomed to his crown, and as he refers to it as, his fancy Dan cape. But there's one superstar who wants them back. He's the former king, Haku. Watch for that encounter. There's more coming up after this.
Well, there we hear from Hacksaw and his fancy Dan cape. Bad News Brown, though, talking to all the beer-bellied sharecroppers out there. We got women wanting to be men, men wanting to be women, and a WWF champion who wants to be a movie star. Well, you go do that, Hulk. Bad News even pointing out that Hogan afraid to wrestle in the real world, so he's off to Hollywood where he can have somebody else do the stunts for him. Again, probably my favorite promo from Bad News, who is also left doing nothing right now, but at least he's cutting promos on the WWF champion, so it's keeping people paying attention to where Bad News goes next. It's going to be a while, but we'll get there. We get a closing segment this week with Tony Schiavone. Now, it was Elizabeth on Superstars, but with Challenge being the B show, we're treated to Tito Santana and his family putting over their viewing of No Holds Barred. Fantastico. Arriba. Go see it right now, guys. No Holds Barred. To think these guys had a night off, hopefully had a night off from wrestling, and they're forced to go watch this fucking movie. Unbelievable. Next week on Wrestling Challenge, Ravishing Rick Rude going to be here, the Intercontinental Champion, along with the Rockers, the Barbarian in singles competition, the Red Roosters here, Twin Towers in action, alongside the World's Strongest Man, air quotes around that, and Dino Bravo, and the new look Birdman, Coco Beware. Looking forward to that. Plus a special interview with the King Hacksaw, Jim Duggan. All of that and more next week here on Wrestling Challenge. So the Barbarian continues to be placed into these syndicated packages. The Warlord, not so much. Well, there wasn't much room for furthering the stories this week on Superstars or Challenge when we have to continue to make room for the No Holds Barred hype in theaters right now, if you guys haven't guessed, which I'd have to imagine, though, will be subsiding soon. It won't be in theaters forever, guys, so let's hang in there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. As we continue on, there's a light at the end of this tunnel as well, talking about this edition of The Grenade right now as we roll off to one more piece of business. It's the June 12th edition of the WWF's Primetime Wrestling.
Welcome once again to Primetime Wrestling. I'm Gorilla Monsoon, along with
the host, Bobby the Brain
the
Heenan.
Disgracer.
Starts right off.
I was in a good mood till I saw that particular footage that you made a fool out of yourself again at the theater, didn't you?
Oh, why did you send the security in and have Sherry and I taken out into the lobby?
I just did what I thought was
embarrassing.
Right.
They came, they shined flashlights in my face. They said, I'd like to see you two outside.
Yeah,
took me out bottling, put me out front.
I thought it was a good idea. Who does her makeup? Dracula?
I think she's elegant.
You do?
Very stunning woman.
Well, you two suit each other very well.
You're just jealous.
I may have to take your phone away from you for a couple of weeks or so as a sort of a penance.
I'm not a child. I don't have to be punished like that.
Well,
what did I do wrong?
I'll let
couple
you know
kisses
later
in the
on.
balcony and you're
Ravishing Rick is with us this week.
That's right.
Our feature
Brutus
is
the
what?
Barber Beefcake and Bad News Brown.
That should be
I'm
interesting.
right on top of things.
Uh-huh. Should be very interesting.
Should be. He won't be cutting any hair, will he?
I don't know. Highly unlikely. Bad News doesn't have any hair.
So what's he going to do, shave his face?
Everyone that I know, Brain, is talking about the movie No Holds Barred.
And I guess on this evening's program, we're going to see a love scene with Hulk Hogan.
Well, yeah, we are.
Oh, is that going to be good, huh? On one knee, probably.
Why are you
drooling.
knocking a guy?
You're right, I shouldn't. He's not as bad as I think he is. How's that?
No relation to Charlie Manson. We're going to be taking a look at Harley Manson in our opening bout this week here on Primetime.
And no relation to Harley Davidson either.
No, absolutely not. Opposition for him, former member of the Heenan family, probably one of the strongest guys around, Hercules. So let's go to ringside, Madison, Wisconsin.
Primetime hosted, as always, Gorilla Monsoon and your host, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Gorilla laying into the Brain's behavior last week at the movie theater. Remember, they were on location and No Holds Barred. Bobby disagreeing. He enjoyed his time, especially his time with the sensational one up in the balcony. Wonder what the Macho Man thinks of that. Now, we close up later in the program with Gorilla planning to attend No Holds Barred once again in order to better hear the dialogue. Boy, you ain't missing nothing. The youngsters were drowning out the movie for Gorilla last time out. It's a great way to get adults to come see the movie. Talk about all the kids drowning the dialogue out, Gorilla. Also this week on Primetime Wrestling, we got Coliseum Corner featuring Tony Schiavone, who this week is promoting his very first release as a producer. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is the video title. Unfortunately, Tony doesn't get to pick the clip, or at least I hope Tony didn't pick this clip, because he sells this tape strictly by showing us highlights of a Jim Duggan versus Dino Bravo match. Ugh. Well, we also have a couple of exclusives here this week. Interesting choices by exclusive. The Mighty Hercules over Harley Manson with the Torture Rack backbreaker. Match goes about 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Now, that was taped June 6th in Madison, Wisconsin. And there's this odd chant going on during the matchup. And even Hercules looks a little confused, literally at one point laughing and saying, "I don't get it." From there, we get the dueling chants of "great taste, less filling." So the fans having fun with the Miller Lite chants here. But between the crowd using this match to entertain themselves with a Miller Lite chant and Hercules actually laughing his way through said crowd. Really weird match to make air. I guess they just needed some filler here. And with less house shows, the Spectrum in Boston no longer being taped, they have to use a lot more dark matches for the TV tapings. But this felt like the epitome of a dark match that should have never made air. Hercules, though, getting another win, also getting a win here on Primetime Wrestling. We've seen him a lot in syndication, cutting insert poems. We haven't seen him wrestle yet on syndicated TV, though. I'm talking about Lanny Poffo, a.k.a. The Genius, scoring a win here over Brian Costello with a top rope somersault senton. Now, this one taped June the 7th in Rockford, Illinois. Match goes 7 minutes and 21 seconds, just entirely too long, to the point even Tony Schiavone and Alfred Hayes on commentary seemed over it. Okay, more Tony than Alfred. Gorilla Monsoon also trashing how long it took from the studio side of things. And it wasn't so much that the match went 7+ minutes. It was Lanny was very methodical in the action here. As we are back at the studio after that, Gorilla noting that a lot of people upset that apparently a lot of people have not attended the movie No Holds Barred yet because they're waiting for the crowds to subside a bit. And I'm like, really, Gorilla? Basically, Gorilla's saying if you're waiting to attend the movie, so is everyone else. Get out there and watch it today. As we learn next week, right here on Primetime Wrestling, feature match. It's the Battle of the Boroughs. We've seen the Mega Powers explode. Now it's the Battle of the Boroughs right here on Primetime Wrestling. We saw the team split up just a couple weeks ago. Not talking about Strikeforce, not talking about the Mega Powers. I'm talking about the New York City connection. When Harlem meets Brooklyn, it's Manhattan and Brooklyn. The Boroughs going at it when Bad News Brown clashes with the Brooklyn Brawler Steve Lombardi right here next week on Primetime. We're going to have to wait and see if Bobby Heenan's anywhere near that thing. Speaking of Bobby, again teasing here, leaving Primetime Wrestling and making his own set, the Brain growing more and more upset with the Gorilla here and being disrespected. Heenan teasing his own talk show. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But right now, we wrap up this week's edition of The Grenade. I want to thank everybody for tuning in again. We'll be back very soon. Another week, maybe 2 weeks if time permits, of June TV here in 1989. More build towards the next edition of Saturday night's main event, and certainly the build to SummerSlam on the way. And it won't be long now. Got a couple more vignettes, no doubt about it. But very soon, the in-ring debut on TV of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. All of that and so much more to look forward to. But for this week, I just want to invite everybody to try out the patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We've got 8 video casts up and running right now and more on the way, believe it or not. Of course, at that VIP tier, 4 big videocasts. Regional Wrestling presents a video look into wrestling history as we discuss various points right now. Georgia with Jamie Ward. St. Louis with Phil Adams. We've got a lot going on there at Regional Wrestling Presents. We've got the Pro Wrestling Academy with Dan Gennity. Currently 45 episodes deep, 46 actually, if you count the special holiday edition of the Academy videocast. A lot of people asked us, where did the podcast go with Dan Gennity? Well, it went nowhere. We took some time off. That'll be back very shortly. But the videocast has been going on this entire time in the interim right there at the VIP tier. Also, the Coliseum cast, now 52 episodes in, which means you can watch one every single week for a full year now, guys. And of course, Monday Warfare, Raw versus Nitro, the videocast moving into 1996. The upcoming edition featuring the Raw Bowl, going up against Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair on free TV. Nitro and Raw continue to battle into 1996. Looking forward to that. If you move up a tier to the Ultimate tier, you get 4 more videocasts at the moment and more to be added later. And that includes, but not limited to, Regional Wrestling Unreal. Jamie Ward joins me right now. We're covering Southwest Wrestling on the USA Network, as well as Mid-South Wrestling 1982. We're even trickling in the early episodes of the AWA on ESPN there on Regional Wrestling Unreal. We also just debuted Talking TNA. It's a total non-stop adventure as we go back in time from the very beginnings, discussing TNA week to week. And we set the stage with the 2-man Power Trips, John Paz joining me, and that is available free of charge. All you have to do is sign up to the Patreon, and if you're too lazy for that, I even posted it on YouTube. You can go check it out right there at youtube.com/WrestlingGrenade, the very first edition of Talking TNA. Lots of great feedback on that, and the videocast start shortly as we begin to cover the many events that took place over the course of the past quarter century. Let us not forget the big ones, where we go back in time, cover various events, pay-per-views, supercards across the globe, various guests we've had on there, from Gene Jackson to old school Steve Eckstadt. We've got Jamie Ward, part of that as well. John Paz has joined me as part of the big ones. Steve Stone even stepped in. We've had a lot of fun with a lot of guests there, again, covering wrestling history. You want to check all of that out and so much more, and upgrade to the Ultimate Tier Plus for that 3 terabytes, count it, 3 terabytes, 3,000 gigs plus of old school footage you can check out right now. All of that and so much more. Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Check it out, guys. Greatly appreciate you keeping us up and running as we continue to tell the story of wrestling history in many forms. But right now, we say goodbye. We'll be back very soon. More WWF June 89 on the way. Until then, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin, I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there.
I'm gonna tell you one time, you cannot beat my prices. But you sure can't beat my music.
Hey, aren't you?